Hello everyone, I'm Chester44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper. Last episode we completed the final quest, shall we say, that's located upon this station. But we're not fully done. Those were all the regular original quests. But we still have the DLC to do. I'm going to rest, and then we're going to turn it all in. Because we have quite a bit more to go. It'll be at least a couple more episodes. Alright. You know what? Just to fill up, I'm going to very quickly go into the farm stacks. Oh, it only gives me 2? Ugh. Alright. Let's go speak here. Esh asked you to bring supplies, and fragrant, eye-grown girole caps seem like the perfect thing to impress her. Well, we got a couple. Esh sees you coming up the broken spoke and waves you into the cavernous bay of the Climbing Briar. You came! Peek smiles as you walk into the Climbing Briar's cargo hold behind a gloomy Esh. They brought mushrooms. Esh tosses the mushroom caps onto her crate, raising her eyebrows at Peek. Peek gives her a look. Thank you, Sleeper. They pick one up and sniff at it. Are these edible? Yes. Peek turns the cap over in their fingers before putting it down. We're not so used to fresh produce. Esh is securing crates as she speaks and doesn't look up. Hawthorne doesn't have much in the way of farming. Hawthorne? The installation we grew up on. Esh wipes off her hands on a rag. XPR loves to name their property after natural things, but that's about as far as their relationship with plant life goes. XPR? This an interrogation? Either way, we are done with that place, which is all you need to know. Esh leans back against the crate she was securing. We are going to need more than a few mushrooms if we want to help those refugees, though. Why are they trapped? You tell me, it's your station administration that set up the cordon. Peek gives Esh a look. Sorry. I know this isn't on you. Esh stands and walks over to the mushrooms you brought, placing them into a small container with care. The problem isn't just getting supplies, it's getting them through to the ships. Can't you just fly around? And get the Briar sieged for breaching quarantine? No thanks. We were lucky we got here before the cordon was set up. That's the only reason we are on this side. Why is there a quarantine? Peek jumps in. The Eye has a closed-loop life support system, just like any orbital installation. Any unfamiliar illness or significantly increased strain on life support could cause a cascading collapse in its systems. Huh. Are we making excuses for these bureaucrats now? We are being realistic, Esh. But these people aren't an isolated strain, they are living people! Esh stares at you. Even calling them refugees is just a way of turning a lot of scared, desperate people into a single monolithic group. Esh slides in the container full of mushrooms into one of the cargo hold's racks. Look, as much as I'd like to chat, we've still got a lot of space to fill in this hold, so if you are going to help... I think Esh is trying to say we need your help and quickly, Peek says, glancing at her. The refugees behind the cordon, they won't be able to hold out indefinitely. We need to get supplies to them in the next 12 cycles, or... Esh steps forward. Or Havenage will have to bear the responsibility for whatever happens next. I'll help if I can. Peek looks nervously at Esh. They were hoping for something more concrete. There's 3 things we still need to secure. Water, food, and scrap components for ship repairs. Esh gestures to the storage containers around the hold. Water we can find a way to source, or, my preference, just siphon off from the underground reservoirs in the Greenway. Peek raises their eyebrows. Esh. She ignores him. For food, things could be tricky. Those mushrooms are delicious, I'm sure, but no way we can get enough volume to feed a flotilla. However, I saw an algae stack on the way over. If we can get access... Not more stealing, Esh, Peak sighs. I didn't say steal. She stares at them indignantly. If we can get access, we can work the stack, harvest some algae for the flotilla. Those stacks churn out vast quantities in short time scales. And the repair components? Just look around you, Peak. This whole place is made of scrap. And I'm sure the Sleeper has their sources. They can bring them right here. We get everything before time runs out, perfect. We get most of it, also good. Either way, in 12 cycles, I'm going to take what we have and go. But how will you get through? Ash shoulders a container. I thought I'd leave that up to you, Peak. They flinch. Are you serious? Ash, I know we said we would help the flotilla, but at what point... Take this seriously, Ash. I don't know the first thing about breaching a quarantine cordon. Maybe not. But they might. They slipped out from an SNR facility, didn't they? Plus, they've been here longer than us. You're always trying to get me to find help. Well, here it is. Help. Peak glances between the two of you. I swear to... I need to think this one through. Meet me at the cordon in a couple of cycles, Sleeper. Maybe we can figure something out. Meanwhile, you can help me acquire the supplies. Discreetly. We have to keep this quiet. Keep Havenage out of the loop. Once they get suspicious, this is over for all of us. This all suddenly seems a little too real, too dangerous. You've only just found your feet on the eye. This is not a time for causing trouble. Come find us. We'll be out there trying to pull this all together. Ash goes to the back of the hold to start packing another container. Peak, come help me. Peak glances back at her. Sleeper, look, we didn't choose this either. Help us finish this. We've set up a base camp on the Broken Spoke. You are welcome to rest there in any of the cots while we work on this. We're in this together. Peak! Ash shouts, and they walk back into the hold to help with the container. As you leave the climbing briar, you look out at the broken edge of the eye's ring, where Havenage's cordon blinks with tiny red lights. What are you getting yourself into? Climbing briar. The flotilla needs food, water, and components. You might not be able to get all of them, but Esh will take what you can get. And all the supplies in the world are nothing without a plan to get them to the flotilla. That's Peak's part in this. The clock is running. In 12 cycles, Esh will make her run to the flotilla. The better prepared she is, the better the result will be. And one of the 3 things the flotilla needs are components for repairs. There's a lot of ships, which means a lot of scrap components. 8 of them. We have 12. So we can at least provide that. That's it. These components should be enough to cover most of the basic repairs the flotilla needs. You hope. You look over the pile of scrap components lying in the briar. You look around. The bay is empty. Ash and Peak either elsewhere on the station or on the bridge a couple of levels up. You begin sorting through the piles, separating out useful components and boxing them by use. You don't recognize everything you find, but before long you get into the rhythm of sorting. As you do, your mind starts to drift, your attention being drawn into the dark corners of the bay. The briar is in surprisingly good condition, considering that Hawthorne and XBR must have been operating it for decades by now. The marks of care are everywhere, from the delicate patch jobs polished to meld into the original finish, or the carefully bound wiring running through custom trunking. Ash loves this ship, that much is clear. Something catches your eye in one of the dark corners, a matte black stack of crates you hadn't spotted before. They are sleek and compact, tucked away behind some of the bigger, more worn containers. Investigate. You put the components away and go over to the sleek crates. You run your hands across their textured surface, but there is little hint of what lies inside the opaque metallic casing. Then you see it, a yellow symbol embossed onto the far side of the crate, a universal symbol used by spacers, corporations, and manufacturers alike. It's one you have seen throughout your time as a sleeper, its meaning all too familiar. Explosive contents. You hear a hiss and Ash comes up through the bay's lock. She barely registers your presence, nodding at you as she passes. Sleeper. She busies herself with some task at the back of the bay. Ask about the crates. Ash doesn't turn around from whatever she is busy with. Just more supplies, Sleeper, like everything else here. You can't think of anything else to ask, but sense that the atmosphere has now somehow shifted. You quickly finish up the sorting and slip out, waving goodbye to her back as you do. That's a little concerning. So we have a resting point over here. Ah, the cordon. Peak asked you to meet them at the cordon. You hope they have a plan to cross, because this place seems imposing. 2 cycles. 2 cycles and we'll be able to get through to see what she has planned for the cordon. But we still need to find food and water. Algae stack. The algae stack is controlled by a small collective of farmers. If you want to use it, you'll need to persuade them. Much to Esh's frustration, you'll have to pay or talk your way into using the algae stack to farm food for the refugees. And as for reservoir, Havenage have installed a complex sensor array to monitor the reservoir. Trip this, and the whole place will go into lockdown. The reservoir is monitored by a web of sensors. Hacking them will reduce the alert level of the system and keep you from getting locked out. On the other side, the only way for Esh to get enough water together is to siphon it directly from the station's reservoirs. Havenage will not be pleased. Well, we can get 5s, which is probably a good way to do this. Esh needs tanks and tanks of water if she hopes to help the flotilla. Anything less is worthless to her. Not as much as I'd hoped. Well, we can do this at the algae stack. You and Ash roll up your sleeves and help with tank cycling. As you do, you speak to the farmers about the refugees. I think that 4 will be better here. Siphoning water. It would be 1 no matter what. That's kind of annoying. And I can't really do anything with the 1. I guess I'll just rest. I will eventually need more scrap in order to keep myself prepared, but this'll do for now. Ooh, 5s. Actually, I can use both of those 5s here. Perfect. Oh, what's this? The algae takes time to grow, and each cycle more can be harvested from the stack. Patience is required. The algae in the stack grows at a regular rate, but with some careful feed adjustments and water cycling, you can improve your yield per cycle. Oh! The flotilla needs a lot of food to last out the quarantine, and Esh will settle for nothing less than a full hold's worth. So, even though we are able to get there, the algae needs to grow, which will be 3 cycles, and then we need to get 8. Oof, that's actually pushing our luck a little bit. We can get the water here, however. That helps. Ooh, random scrap item. Nice. This will help out a lot. Okay, siphoning water is almost done. That's good. Let's go ahead and do the scrap. End of the cycle. Got some good numbers. As you leave, you find a note pinned on the outside of the door. It reads, "Sleeper, there's something you need to see. Meet me at the cordon as soon as you can. Just keep heading around the ring until you hit the flotilla. I'll be waiting. Peek." You pocket the note and glance around the corridor. Looks like you're doing this. Time to make a plan. Let's go see them right away, then. Sleeper. Peek catches your attention from the shadowy corner they were leaning against. Any trouble getting up here? None. Good to hear. Come, take a look at this. They beckon you over to a nearby window which looks across the ruined ring to the blinking red lights of the Havenage cordon. The cordon's temporary structures, a net of metal struts meant to detect and dissuade any ships from entering or leaving the flotilla, jut out into the black. And all around the tugs flit, securing them in place and tending to the red blinking drones that demark the quarantine. It's an impressive and worrying sight. What do you think? Peak interrupts your thoughts. How would you get through? Use one of the tugs. As an escort, you mean? I doubt we could fit all the supplies on one of those tugs, but if it seemed like the Briar was being officially escorted through the cordon... Peak squints at the red lights. But then we'd be stuck inside. Peak turns away from the window and rubs her forehead. Esh has really wrapped us up in something here, hasn't she? The question is spoken under their breath, and they don't seem to expect an answer. The silence grows. Are there other options? If you've got them, I'm happy to hear them. The way I see it, there are 3 parts to making it through that cordon. They gesture out the window at the strange structure. Deception, distraction, and speed. We'll need all of them for a clean passage through. Deception means tricking the cordon security into thinking that we are meant to be there. Maybe a tug escort would work? Anything that makes the Briar look official. Distraction, meanwhile, will be all about diverting attention so that no one looks too hard at what the Briar is doing. If we can create a gap in the cordon's scanning and deterrent systems, that should keep them busy. Finally, speed will mean making sure the Briar is ready to roll. Perhaps you can do a little work on the ship to get her ready. Esh surely won't mind. They lean back from the window. How does that sound? Risky. Well, yes, there's always going to be risk. That's how this works. You've got to be on board with that. Peak looks down at their slate. 10 cycles left. They glance out of the window at the cordon nervously. 10 cycles to gather the supplies and to prep this plan. It's tight. Very tight. If this goes wrong... Just get out, okay? They squeeze your shoulder. I'll follow Esh anywhere, but you don't need to get dragged down with us. It won't come to that. Peak brightens up a little. Of course, but just keep it in mind. Let's get to it. Peak stretches. I'll tell Esh about the improvements to the Briar, and the rest... Let's explore the cordon as best we can and look for openings. I have no idea what Guardian Angel sent you to a sleeper, but I'm very glad they did. Okay. Breaking quarantine. Scope the cordon. Okay, you and Peak need to get a sense of how Havenage operation works before you can prepare your plan to slip through it. We can either blend in with a crew. One thing about being a sleeper is people always assume you're working, so blending in with the tug crews shouldn't be too tough. Or intercept comms. The cordon buzzes with radio transmissions and data packets. Intercepting them will help give you a sense of how things run here. Well, we can do that perfectly. Okay, we have done a bit, we need to do another, but I'm going to use this 4 over here. Then I'm going to do a reroll. Now to the algae stack at the reservoir. We're actually almost done with the water. Risky, but I'll try it. Got it. Tucked into a service corridor deep below the reservoir, Esh is double-checking the seals on the water tanks loaded onto the motorized trolley. Though you are far enough away from any thoroughfares not to worry about being overheard, you both still speak in hushed tones. How will you get these to the Briar? Esh glances back at you. We'll trolley these up to a bay further along, and then we'll bring in the Briar for a quick and quiet collection. Speaking of quiet... She gives you a look and then looks pointedly back down the corridor towards the reservoir before hitting the ignition on the trolley to start it moving. You take the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service corridor with its flickering You take the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service corridor with its flickering lights in Solheim Detrius. You doubt it gets used by Havenage, at least that's the hope. You glance across at Esh, her face a mask of determination as she guides the trolley along. Maybe some conversation will make this journey go a little easier. How did you meet Peak? Esh pauses, a little surprised by your question. She glances back down the tunnel, but in this deserted passage she can hardly keep up the pretense of silence. We grew up together, she answers quickly, and turns back to the trolley, but she can tell you are expecting her to add more. She seems to gather herself for an answer, not wanting to ignore you, but trying instead to get her answer straight in her head. Our outpost, Hawthorne, is not an easy place to grow up. The administrators keep a tight hold of everything, even though they are trapped in the same decaying installation as everyone else. Peak find it harder than most. I stepped in to help them out. Silence descends again, but you can feel the wheels turning in Esh's mind as the creaking of the wheels of the trolley take you along the corridor. Peak isn't the most practical of people. They used to be, well, they needed someone to teach them to look after themselves, stand up for themselves. That was me. After that, I couldn't get rid of them. Esh stops talking, but you see her eyes have lit up, and you imagine she is recalling some moment or other from her and Peak's past. You both reach a wide bulkhead doorway and have to stop to shimmy the trolley over the edge. When you're done, Esh turns to you. I'm good from here. Head back. And with that, she is gone, moving off into the dark tunnel ahead. You watch her go and then turn around and walk the distance back to the staircase you entered from, the tunnel humming around you as you do. As you walk, you try to piece together Esh's past, but all you have are glimpses of a person she once was. She seems to prefer it that way. Alright, so that's 2 settled. We still need to do this. It'll be another 2 rounds before we'll be able to harvest the algae. Oh, now you can freely harvest edible algae to the ship from the refugee flotilla. Even Esh admits it has a pleasant earthy taste. Alright, we'll come back to that. For now, with this last 6, we may as well finish our exploration here. You tap into a broadcast detailing the order of operations for new crews assigned to the cordon. This is exactly what you need. And you have a sense of how the tug operations at the cordon work now. Time to make the most of your knowledge. So we got 3 options. Crew canteen. All across the cordon, Haven security. Okay. Taking hardline attitudes, loudly arguing in favor of the quarantine, making friends with security, there are ways to deflect suspicion. And with division rife among the tug crews, gaining support for a supply shipment will just be a case of picking the right crew and approaching them discreetly. A crew willing to escort the Briar through the quarantine will give the ship a better chance of passing the cordon without any trouble. So that's going to be 6 successes, because each one will only be 1. Ugh. Let's see. Havenage Hangar. The kind of thrusters the tugs use will give the Briar improved maneuvering, useful in the cramped quarters of the flotilla. The tugs have a powerful suite of ion thrusters for rapid maneuvering. If you can sneak in and slice some off, you'll have a significant upgrade for the Briar. Well, at least it's engineer, but that's going to take another 6 attempts. And the cordon operations. Creating a blind spot in the cordon's perimeter will give the Briar a better chance of evading detection when Esh makes her run. Some careful sabotage to the cordon systems should create a sensor gap that will allow the Briar to bypass the automatic quarantine systems. Again, 6 successes. This is going to be a challenging thing. Well, we can go regain some energy and then go and rest. Unfortunately, we can't speed anything up with money. Which is unfortunate, because I would have liked to be able to do that. I mean, I have so much money. Why not? Oh, I can go to Lem and Mina's unit. Oh, hang out with Mina! Lem and Mina like it when you visit and always make you feel welcome in their little unit, even if Lem's cooking is a little suspect. Oh, that's nice. That's another way to get energy. I like it. Alright, we do a rest. I forgot to repair, but I'm still fine. Let me toss repair in now. Okay. Tell you what. I am going to end this episode here. Maybe slightly shorter, but it's fine. Next episode we'll be focusing on this. Trying to salvage what we can. Food for the flotilla seems like it'll be quick and easy to finish up. But we also have 6s and 5s, which we need to use up here. So we only have 1s. So we'll focus on these a bit. That'll be in the next episode. So until then, I am Chapstick44, also known as Fly. This has been a Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper, and I shall see you all next time.